Do you ever feel like this? Like your editing's taking ages? Like, surely it shouldn't take this long. I have definitely felt like that. So I created this, the Solid Essentials FX Pack. These are my go-to effects that I use literally every day. There's transitions, fluid motion effects, animated captions, everything you need to give your sequence that professional finish in a fraction of the time so you can actually go outside. Here's how it works, check it out. Here's a random arrangement on the timeline. You can see there's no effects. We're going to very quickly transform this dry sequence by adding movement to it from this preset pack. As you can see, we've got different scenes, titles, captions, and an icon that we're going to add some movement to. So to demonstrate, I'll move the playhead back, I'll click on the first scene and look through the effects. I think I'll start with a drop-in effect. So that kind of drops it in from being out of focus to in focus to start things off with. And next up, we should handle the title here. I'm just going to adjust the position on that by copying the next title's vector motion settings and pasting it onto that title just to bring it down. And then to add an effect to this, I think I'll go for text smooth up. So you can search for text and it'll bring up the text effects, or you can just look through, and in this case I'll just plonk that on there and play that back. Cool. And then I want to reveal the scene underneath, which you can see on the timeline there. So I think I'll slide that out. So let's go for a slide effect. So back into the presets, and there's one here called slide out left. I'll drag that to the initial top scene and let's see how that looks. Nice, so we're starting to get some movement already. Let's have a look at how we're going to make that title disappear. For this, I feel like I want it to just evaporate. And I've got an effect here called blur dropout, which I think will do the job. The effect will make the word disappear whilst blurring it and dropping it just a touch to give it that little bit of movement. So things are taking shape. Now let's have a look at moving from one scene to the next with a transition. We're going to go from the girl here to the BMX. We need to add an adjustment layer and then a transition effect from the pack to the adjustment layer. So I've already got one there from earlier. I'll just delete that. Just in case you don't know, click this icon, grab an adjustment layer, click OK, and then drag that to the timeline. So side note, most of the effects in the pack have been set to scale, which means that the length of the clip that you add the effect to will affect the actual length of the effect itself. So in this case, I'll go for a flash glow, and I don't want that to be too long. So in the titles of some of the effects, you can see a recommended frame length, and if you hover over the effect, you'll get more detail on what you need to do with that. So in this case, we want a 10 frame adjustment layer, and when we add the effect to that, it should be just right. So I usually move the playhead to the center of the adjustment layer above the two cuts, and then move 5 frames in each direction to cut the clip to make 10 frames. So you can use the arrow key to go 1 frame at a time, or shift and the arrow key to go 5 frames at a time. So we've now cut the adjustment layer to the right length, and I'm going to add the flash glow transition and see how that looks. Sweet, now let's move to the next titles. Let's go for a different type of movement, maybe slide it in from the right. And once again, this is scaled to the clip size. So because this clip is quite long, it will make the effect quite slow. And I think I'd like it quicker than that. So I'll undo that move, cut the clip to make it shorter, and then re-add the preset for a quicker slide in. That's one way of doing it, or the other way, if we undo that and also undo the clip cut, is to add a preset to, say, a long clip, and then go to effect controls and adjust the keyframes to adjust the length of the effect. In this case, just drag the right hand keyframe in to make it shorter or out to make it longer. Now let's add a transition from the BMX to the two girls, and I think I'm going to go for a whip pan effect. So I'll grab an adjustment layer, put it onto the track there, and I think I'll go for whip to the right. So that's looking like 8 frames in length. So I'll cut the adjustment layer to 8 frames in length, go back to the whip to the right preset, drag that onto the adjustment layer, and now we have a nice whip from the BMX to the two girls. And maybe let's go cinematic style, so let's add some cinematic bars. I'm just going to cut the clip in the length that I want the bars to come in and out of, then grab the cinematic in and out bars preset onto the clip to give us that effect. Next up, let's take a look at this icon. I think I'll slide that in from the top, and I want it to be pretty quick, so I'll cut the clip to make it shorter and then grab the effect called slide in from top, put it onto the clip, and we'll see how that looks. Maybe I want it a touch quicker. I'll just grab the keyframe here, move that in, and that should do. Cool, so now let's add some movement to move that icon out of the shot. I'm going to go for a preset here called text or icon fall down, as I want it to appear as if it literally falls down. And in a situation where you might want to really highlight the foreground and dim the background, we've got a preset called dim and blur. Cut the clip to the length that you want to dim and blur it, add the preset to the clip, and we'll check that out. So next up, how to get rid of that slick moves title. I'm going to add text blur dropout to remove that before the icon falls down, just to make that make sense, and then we'll move on to the next scene. Not quite right, I'm just going to adjust that. Cool, so with the next scene, rather than a transition, I want to reveal it over the top of the existing scene. So I'm going to move the clip on top of the existing scene and cut it to the length I want the effect to last, and go for a preset in the pack called Fade In Scene Reveal. Awesome, so next up we've got these captions which I'm going to group and then add a preset to all of them in one go. I'll add smooth up text and then I'll stagger them so that each line comes in one after the other. And then I want to blur them out, so I'll add text blur out to finish the job. Now let's play that back and see what we were able to achieve in just a few minutes there. See how much more dynamic it now looks. Click the link in the bio to go to the preset pack. I hope it really improves your workflow. Go out there and smash it and stay locked to Solid Coast for more packs in future.